What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. It's Tuesday afternoon. As you are probably aware, we did not really have one of these last week. We did a little impromptu thing, but we didn't really have one of these last week because I was in Colorado with Brianna. We were building guitars and doing various things like that. So that was pretty cool. As always, these are ad-free live streams. You can go to the old super chat down there, and you can use the super chat to say hello. You can do all kind of fun stuff, actually. You can go to DylanTalksTone. You can buy pickups. You can buy guitars. You can buy all kind of stuff. So, and if not, just put a bunch of question marks in front of a question and ask a question in the chat. You can do that too. Doesn't cost you nothing. Today, we're going to talk about buying your next guitar. So I was thinking about this the other day because, of course, I was in Colorado, so I was around a bunch of neat guitars, and it's like, I wonder what my next one is going to be. I haven't bought a new guitar in a while, and I was like, what is the decision making paradigm that I'm going to use to buy my next one? Because I think this changes over time, right? So if you're a new, and this is kind of meant there, what I want to do here is if you're new to guitar playing, your what makes you want to buy a new guitar and what that guitar is going to be different than for someone who has played for a long time and maybe already has a few, or maybe is a professional guitar player who uses it for work versus somebody who hangs around the house and enjoys it. So how do you choose that? Like what is the way that you would choose your next guitar? I had some notes here, and of course I lost them. So there's going to be a few things. Do you already have one? Is this your first one? That's a whole different thing. But I'm thinking, I already have a guitar. I want another one. What do I choose next? And this could be a result of just seeing something new and going, oh, that's really cool. I really want that, gear acquisition syndrome sort of thing. Or it could be, with a purpose. Are you trying to fill a sound or a feature or something that you don't have? So if you have got multiple guitars, a lot of times what will happen is, well, I don't have a humbucker guitar. I don't have a P90 guitar. That's a dumb thing. Everyone should have a P90 guitar. I don't have a single pickup guitar. I don't have a Strat. I don't have a Tele. I don't have an SG. I don't have right? So you kind of go through all those things and you go, what don't I have? I want to fill in a hole. Or you might say, you know what? I have the Strat sound, but I want to play X or Y artist, and this is what they play, so I would like to get something closer. I'd like to play a Slash Les Paul, or even just any Les Paul, because I want to get that kind of slash tone. Or maybe you're, Stevie Ray or something is inspiring to you, and so you want to get sort of a vintagey spec Strat. It could be that kind of thing. It could be a stylistic thing. So I was out in Colorado last week, and Matt at Texas Toast Guitars had built another pink guitar, and I'm just like, I want all the pink guitars, and I don't have one of these models, and so therefore I think I want it, right? Or maybe it's just you want one of each. I'm in the sort of space right now where I'm looking through it and I'm like, okay, I have this and I have this and I have this. I don't have an SG. So I have my SG Junior, but I kind of put that in a different department, right? So I'm thinking about an SG maybe. I don't know, so kind of that sort of thing. And of course, there's going to be the purpose-built folks. So for those of you who play, for a living, or maybe you don't play for a living, but you do have a gig and you play a couple a month. Maybe you need, I need an acoustic that does this coffee shop gig really good. I need I'm going to play in a Led Zeppelin cover band, so I need, whatever it is. You might need to physically, fill that need for something, for a purpose. It could be, and gets a little more kind of out in the weeds, but it could be that you're a beginner guitar player, or just somebody who's never dipped their toes into something really cool. And I don't mean this in a negative way. I just mean maybe you've never done it before. Maybe you have a bunch of Harley Bentons. Maybe you have only had inexpensive guitars. And you're like, I'd really like to try something really nice. But I also know that it's going to be an investment. It's going to be a couple of grand probably. So I want to make the right choice, right? Like, I've got inexpensive guitars, but making that jump is worth it, number one. But number two, it can be kind of scary because you didn't do it before, and you want to make sure that you're getting getting everything you wanted. The other thing, so kind of that pride of ownership thing, like, you know what? I've never had a real Gibson. I've never had a real Martin. I've never had a real, I want to try it. It's addicting. I will tell you that. Once you have the real thing and you make that leap, once you understand and appreciate what it is, and you might not right away, but once you do, you'll be like, oh man, these are sweet. I want more of those. Most of the time. And then the other thing is, you might go the opposite direction. Maybe you have a bunch of fancy guitars and you might say, you know what? I'm going to buy me a Squier because I want to play around and I want to learn how to do setups. I want to route a different pickup in there, and I want to play with a custom pick guard, and I want to do some modding stuff. And so you kind of buy some cheap guitars on purpose because you want to do that, right? So there's all kind of different, decision-making paradigms that we use. So here's what I want to know. Get in the comments and tell me what yours are. So we'll circle back to the comments here in a second. Circle back. That's such a stupid word. I don't know even where I got that. I don't work in an office. I don't have like a corporate gig. Circle back is such a dumb word. If you say that word at work, stop saying it. I can't believe I even just said it. It came out. I was like, ugh, ugh, ugh. Okay. Let's see. So let's go back and see what some of you are doing. Chris says, how to choose my next guitar? Honestly, still the original metric. Does it have the look? Does it have the feel? And does it have the sound? Okay. Probably in that order. A lot of folks, I agree with you. I think a lot of folks don't want to admit to themselves that it is in that order. Because let's face it, you go into Guitar Center or anywhere and you walk through, and the first thing you do is you see the guitar. So there's all these dorks in the comments all the time. People just buy with their eyes. Well, of course you do. If it's ugly, you're not, like, oh, hey, that's pretty rad. I'm going to check that out. And then you get it down and you're like, oh, okay, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't actually do the thing I wanted to do. But the first thing is, oh, dang, that's pretty sweet. Right? You see it. So yeah, that makes sense. Be honest with yourself about that and let yourself, here's a good one. Did Brianna make it? That's a great metric. Do you have a guitar that Brianna made? If not, you're going to want one. Or if not, there's only one of those. I'm going to leave that alone. We want to save that. By what new PRS comes out? Sweet. Okay, so you like that stuff. So Robbie says, I have a SSS Strat, a P90 Mustang, an LP with DAFs. My next guitar will be a Gretsch. I'm wavering between a semi-hollow and a Broadtron single coils versus a hollow body with Filtertrons and a Bigsby. I want both. So you're kind of in the same boat that I'm in. You have some of the basics that you really like, and you're like, okay, I want something different. I want something that doesn't fit the norm, right? So trying to figure out something kind of cool and different and a little in left field, a Gretsch will do that because they are their own thing, right? There's nothing like a real Gretsch. They're their own thing, which is really neat. Do you keep a guitar in E flat around the studio. I keep going back and forth and think I might need a dedicated guitar for E flat. That's a great question. Okay, so let's add that to the conversation. Do you have a guitar? Do you need to buy a guitar? Do you have guitars around for specific tunings? I don't. I don't have a need for E flat because I don't sing. I don't need an E flat guitar to sing. A, and B, I don't sing enough anymore for it to really matter. And C, I don't play with anybody else at the moment. Even when I was playing in bands up till, a couple years ago, the guys that I played with didn't need E flat to sing. So I personally didn't need that. But I can see where that is the case. I have had in the past, acoustic guitars that I've had set up for open tunings, right? Like DADGAD or something. So that's a thing too, is to buy a guitar specifically for a tuning, which I didn't have on my list. So thank you for adding that. That's really cool. Kevin says, my favorite guitar is a Squier Affinity. I've modded over the years, and the more I learned about modding. So you're in that. So you have one of those, and you've done that. I do too. I've got a couple things in there that I've just used for just modding, and it's fun, right? It's fun to have those around. Special color Silver Sky, right on. Okay. Somebody said HSS. They don't have one of those. Let's see. There's so many good imports these days. It's hard to choose. Yeah. Okay. That's cool too. Here, hang on. I'm going to super chat. Super chat from Lithium Man. He says, well, after having a Les Paul Tribute and a custom, I'm going to have a hard time going for any type of Les Paul under $1,000. So that's an interesting one. Thank you for that, Lithium Man, because I'm kind of in the same boat. And again, there's a couple kind of goals of this conversation that we want to talk about. There's always the cheap guitar guy versus the expensive guitar guy. And my thing is, I think all of us can be all of those things, right? Like, depending on what we need. I've got really fancy guitars, but I've also got really cheap guitars, and they all serve different purposes. And so if you look at it like that, it kind of opens up your mind, right? Like, to me, it allows me to appreciate really nice stuff without like looking down on the more entry level stuff, because they serve different purposes. And I think if you're a halfway cool dude or gal, you will be that way. Like, you won't be like, well, that guitar's a piece of crap, I would never play that. You'd recognize that for what it is and enjoy it for what it is. And then you would also enjoy this other thing. So cost doesn't really matter in this conversation, except for making sure that you make the right decision if you are going to have any kind of investment laid out that you had to stretch to do, And I don't mean stretch like credit. I mean stretch like saved up. So let's say, I bought a D18, and that was like, that was a chunk. So that's a commitment. You save up for however long, or set money aside, or, earmark money for that to get one. Totally worth it. It's right there. Absolutely love that thing. An amazing instrument. But if you're going to do something like that, you're going to give it a little extra thought to make sure that when you commit to that it's still a good idea for you, right? I definitely would really like another good telly. I've had my eye on the Jason Isbell one for the last while. That's a great guitar. I really like the spec on that guitar. I can't remember specifically why I'm saying that right now, but I remember when it came out thinking, especially because it's a Mexican guitar, right? And they're like $1,200 or $1,500 or something. I'm like, and the spec that it came with, I'm like, that's pretty dang good. That's a good guitar. Let's see. When choosing the next guitar, I go on the Harley Benton website and click sort price low to high. Okay, some people do that. That's not my jam, but I can understand why some people would do that. Robert wants different pickups with different combos and all that kind of stuff. I find that I can get everything done with 4 to 5 guitars. Now I look for exceptional guitars and trade up over time as I can afford it, and I enjoy having great guitars. Yeah, so I dig this. I dig this concept. I'm sort of in the same boat. I have the guitars I'll never sell, right? I have the ones that I really, really like. And then there will probably be 2 or 3 on top of the heap that will sort of come and go over time, right? And there's a few that I will keep forever, never ever sell. But yeah, you've got those couple up there that kind of are your experiments, and you're sort of going through them a little bit. I have less of those these days. I think I'm really like what I've got right now. And that when you're really content with what you have, like when you really like what you have, that even makes it harder, because you're like, I'm in the mood to buy a new guitar, but I think that's why I haven't done it in a while. The D18 was the last thing I bought, and I don't know that I've really wanted anything for a while, but this SG thing keeps nagging at me. It definitely keeps nagging at me because I don't have one yet. Let's see. I got an acoustic guitar for free. Oh, that's sweet. Any advice from where to start? So if you got a new guitar, if I'm understanding this correctly, you're new to guitar and you got a free one today, dude, welcome. And that's pretty rad. That's a great way to get one. The very first thing I would do, there's 2 things I would do. I would go to whoever gave it to you. Well, let's say this. If you know somebody who is a very experienced guitar player, like in your town, any of your friends, go to them and say, hey, who does work on these things? And I would invest $75 or $100, probably right in that range. Depends where you live. And say, I want a professional to set this guitar up for me, right? Get the action right and get it all playing really good, new set of strings and everything. And then I would invest in a couple months worth of lessons. And I know a lot of folks do a lot of the online stuff. I think that's really neat. But there's something to be said for an in-person weekly lesson for a little while. It does a couple things. One is there's nothing like being in the room with somebody, especially if you're really new to guitar, to really they'll grab your fingers and be like, no, move it like this, to get yourself in a spot where you're not creating bad habits out of the gate. Okay. Now, we all have bad guitar habits. I'm a thumb hooker. Okay. My dad used to get on me all the time for hooking my thumb, but I use it now, but I know that it's wrong and it's part of what I do now. Right. But in the very beginning, it's helpful to learn all of those concepts from somebody in person. The other thing that it does that will really help you is that if you take lessons locally from a real person in person, then you will meet more people. You will meet more guitar players. You will meet more like-minded folks, and meeting people in person is better than meeting them on the internet. That's not to say there's not a bunch of really cool people in the comment section right now, because I actually physically know a lot of these people in person, and I've known a lot of them for a long time, and they're really cool. However, knowing a person in person, playing with them, talking about guitars with them in person is super cool. And so I would do that. I would get your guitar set up, and then I would go have physical lessons and meet some people and try to get into sort of a good environment around you, and you'll stay, it's real easy. I'm not saying it's inevitable, because I think we have a pretty positive community around DylanTalksTone stuff, but it's very easy to get sucked into a kind of a negative vortex of guitar stuff on the internet, where in person you won't really see that as much. So I would definitely do that. Yeah, super cool. That's great. It actually makes my day to hear that somebody's watching or maybe listening for the first time, or, really cool. David says, his thought process is I see something, I have to have it, and occasionally I have the extra money and I can afford it. I get that. Let's see here. The community is almost always better than a particular piece of gear. The gear story is important. Yes, I agree. I agree. So I think that, having the community around the guitar is cool. But when we're really talking about buying an actual guitar, to me, inspiration is the key. If a guitar doesn't inspire me, I'm not going to buy it. I understand that there will be people like the fellow mentioned earlier, who he spoke up earlier, who said, I just go to the cheap guitar site and I click low to high and I just buy the cheapest thing. Okay. If that's inspiring to you in some way, then do it. That's not, it doesn't work the same for me. Let me just say that. It just doesn't work the same for me. I need a little bit more of a story than that, I guess. Or, well, I don't need one. I'd probably play any guitar you put in front of me, really. As long as it worked. But to me, that's not what this is about. Right? Because playing guitar is not that. I don't think it should be about that. I don't think that this is just my opinion. I don't think that you should buy guitar the same way you buy toilet paper or paper towels. Okay. Just because you got something for free, yesterday, Leslie made a Walmart order and they dropped it off at the house. Somehow we got somebody else's paper towels. They're the cheap ones. They're not Bounties. I really like Bounty paper towels. I don't like the cheap ones, but they'll work good for wax potting pickups. So there you go. I have them and they're free and that's cool. To me, that's not how you buy a guitar. I get zero inspiration from these generic paper towels. You know what I mean? Like it's just a thing that does a thing. You can have a guitar-shaped functioning thing that functions as a guitar, or you can have a thing that like moves you to create. And I don't think, in my opinion, that if you really want to enjoy this over the long haul, that you should buy every guitar. And maybe you will buy some, but I don't think you should buy every guitar like you buy toilet paper or paper towels. Like, oh, it's the cheapest thing. I'm just going to buy one. I don't think you're ever going to get the full benefit of the creativity and the art out of it if you do it like that. You might. I can't speak for everybody, but personally, I can't see that. It's just not a thing for me. So let's talk about stuff we should avoid. If you're going to buy this is going to be great. I want you all to get in the comments. Stuff that we should avoid. If you're going to buy a new guitar, what things, what reasons, what things, et cetera, should you look out for? So let's keep in mind, we've got at least one person in the comments today who seems to be very new to guitar. What can we tell him, right? And what can we tell our friends, and what can we take away from this to share with others? What things should we avoid? Pitfalls we don't want to fall into when choosing our next guitar. I'll give you a couple. I don't think that you should buy based on whatever you see in a Facebook group or whatever somebody else tells you. If you're inspired, so this is a tough one to parse out. So let's pull this apart a little bit. If you see a guitar, oh, you know what? XYZ new guitar just came out, the new something. And you're like, that looks rad. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to watch a few reviews on it. And then you get super stoked on it and you buy it. That's different than going to a Facebook group or some forum or something, and everybody's like, well, this is the new hotness and we're all getting it, so you should get it too. That's different. because you're inspired by like the hype of what everybody else is doing instead of being inspired by it yourself, right? Like that's a fine line. I get it, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And then, do you have a place for it? I think buying a guitar just to buy a guitar and having it around means that sometimes it doesn't get played. Will you actually play it? I have fallen into this in the past where I'm like, well, that's the new thing. That looks pretty sweet. I'm going to get it. And then I get it and I never play it. Those guitars are kind of all gone now, but I've gone through that and it costs you money. It costs you money because you buy something and you can't get what you paid for it usually, unless it's something very special. So you end up losing some money, and then that takes you away from the goal of having something really cool that you really want. So that's tough. Also, redundancy. Now, sometimes that's cool. There's guys that like Strats, and they have 20 Strats. Sometimes I know guys that like will put the same pickups in every guitar, you know? So I get that. I have a bunch of P90 guitars. I'm going to buy more. I think they're awesome. Because that's what I like. But again, are you going to play it? Or is it just going to hang on the wall or sit in the case in the back of the closet? And you're going to be like, oh crap, I forgot this has happened to me too. My spare guitars that are not out like on stands and on hanging on the wall and stuff are in a bunch of cases in the closet in Leslie's office. And I've gone through there in the past and gone, oh, crap, I forgot I even had this. Like, you don't want that. You don't want that. You want to play everything. You want to enjoy everything. And then going back to the modding thing, I am a huge proponent of modding inexpensive guitars, okay? We all know this. This is how I make my living. Like, DylanTalksTone.com, you go buy pickups, you put them in everything. Like, put new pickups in everything. Like, that's my thing, right? But just be careful that what you're trying to do is, I don't want to say for the right reasons, because there's really no wrong answers in all of this, but there is a but to this. If you go and buy an inexpensive guitar and your purpose is to mod it into being something amazing, just remember that it's going to be a cheap guitar with a bunch of cool stuff on it. Still. No matter what. And you can be like, well, it plays great now and it sounds great now. And okay, that's cool. That's really cool. But it will still be a cheap guitar with a bunch of crazy stuff on it. Okay. And going back to the pride of ownership thing, going back to now, you might be super proud of it because you did all the work and you learned and everything. So there's a whole nother motivation to that. So like I said, there isn't really any wrong answers here. I just want to talk it all through so that people don't make make bad decisions when it comes to this stuff. Who is? Somebody's texting me some sort of. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. So there you go. So let's go back to our comments and look at that. That little bit here. Let's see. Floyd Rose Bridges, you want some more? Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Like Domino's Pizza, avoid the Floyd. I disagree. Floyds are super cool. They're easy to set up. As long as you understand how they work. Any kind of double action tremolo is super easy to set up. No big deal. Just don't get a cheap one. The cheaper ones are going to wear out quicker for various reasons, metallurgy being the main one. Don't buy more guitars than you need. Okay, like, let's not take this too far. Like, how many do you need? 0. Really. people always talk about that, like Gibson made themselves into a luxury brand. No, they were a luxury brand from the very beginning, and owning a guitar is a luxury. Like none of us need any of them. And people say, well, I need it for my mental health and blah, blah. I get that. But in the grand scheme of things, none of us actually need the guitar. Avoid Stairway to Heaven. For me, it's the finish on the back of the neck, how glossy or slippy it is. Am I going to need to sand it? I'm not a proponent of sticky. The finish has got to be right. I don't like Epiphone finishes because they're super plasticky feeling. I tell people that all the time. It's not my favorite. I have 5. Oh, Hat Mike says I have 5 Strats and 4 Tellys. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I have one. Well, I have this Strat, 2, 3. I have 3 Strats. I have a Hello Kitty Strat, which is different because it's humbucker. And I have a Silver Sky. So I guess I have 4 too. But I only have 1 Telly right now. Actually, I only have 1 Telly. If you purchase online, choose a vendor who stands behind what they sell and make it easy to return if there's a problem or you don't like the guitar. Excellent point about avoiding pitfalls. And to be honest with you, this applies to local vendors as well. If you have a shop, here's what I will say. We have a couple of local music stores here, but I've not had good experience with them. And I've tried. Obviously, I am a small business, so I want to support small businesses. And I have tried. And I have not had good experiences. And so I buy from Sweetwater because Sweetwater lets me, link in the description, helps out the channel. It's an affiliate link. Because if I have a problem, I just return it. Actually, Hat Mike bought a guitar for me. That was the second one. It was the Gibson G-hole, whatever they call that thing. The first one I got had a split brace on the top. Came to me from Sweetwater. I called them up, said, yo, I need to return this. They shipped me one that day. I think they actually put it on my credit card, so they would charge me for 2 if I never returned the second one or whatever, first one or whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They shipped me it was like they crossed in the mail. It was super fast, no big deal. And everything was fine. And actually now Hat Mike owns the good one. But that's cool. I don't have that kind of experience with the local shop that I have. So people will say, you should always buy local. Yeah, if they don't suck. Like, I can't buy local a lot of times. We've tried it with many different things. Even shirts and hats and like all kinds of other stuff related to my business. And I can't do it because people are dumb and they don't see the vision of like what we're trying to do here. And so therefore, so I actually just buy from Sweetwater, but think about that. Make sure you get it from a good place. Playing with people makes me better and it's fun. When I was in the dirt bike industry, designing dirt bike parts, we would always say, if you don't ride with somebody faster than you, you will never get faster. And it's the same thing with guitar stuff. I always have that buddy around that plays way better than you because it will help. It will help. And spend quality time with them, and it will help for sure. Let's see. Ooh, you bought a Strandberg today. That's pretty killer. Yeah, people are talking about playing with others. Absolutely. I 100% agree. The beginner level Floyd bridges are bad. Yes. I would say if you can at all help it, don't buy Floyd Roses that are imports. Don't actually. Yeah, that's what I would say. Be really sure you want a Floyd. Okay. So let's talk about this. Gnarl Antlers, I get your point. Let's read his whole comment. I don't want to cut him off. Be really sure that you really want a Floyd. If it's your first guitar, you probably should get a fixed bridge. So this is something that I don't think can be made. This is my opinion. I don't think this can be made as a general statement. And here's why. Guitar players do this to each other a lot, where they're like, you shouldn't have that. Well, okay. First of all, we're not talking about a rocket. Okay. This is not, you're not like Elon Musk trying to grab a rocket with fingers and like set it back down on the ground without blowing it up. Okay. This is not that. Floyd Roses are not that big a deal. And they are anything that you do to a Floyd Rose except for damage the front blades or strip screws, okay, is totally reversible. And it's totally fixable with a couple of YouTube videos. So this is not risk, okay? You're not riding in this thing. This is not a hot air balloon. It is not an airplane, right? This is not a motorcycle. This is a guitar. So it will not kill you. It will not hurt you unless you poke yourself with a string, I suppose, which I have seen some gnarly ones. Saw a guy take a string right through his hand right here. So, okay, maybe a little bit. But, you know, you're not going to crash and die. Okay, so this is super easy stuff. It's a toy, right? You are playing with a toy, playing guitar. So this is a toy. And so for recreation and for enjoyment. So just don't feel pressure. So if you buy a guitar that you feel is a little complicated, maybe it's got a Floyd, maybe it's got a Bigsby, don't feel pressure like you're going to ruin it or that it's going to kill you or anything, because it's not. Just watch some videos. Don't feel the pressure of owning it and attack it as like, I'm enjoying learning a thing. And once I figure this thing out, I'm going to know this thing. And when somebody else says you shouldn't buy a Floyd, you're going to be like, they're easy. Just like I do. Right? So just don't feel the pressure of it. And don't let people tell you, this is a really big pet peeve of mine. You know, let's say the gentleman who got the free acoustic guitar. I don't know what means he has. I don't know where he lives. I don't know anything about him. But let's say he has the means tomorrow to go buy a custom shop Strat. He got his first acoustic today given to him free by somebody and was asking what to do with it. And maybe tomorrow he wants to go buy a custom shop Strat. If he says something about that, some ding dong in the comments is going to be like, you're not good enough to own that, or you shouldn't get that guitar until blah, blah. I'm like, screw you, dude. Like, get what you want. It doesn't matter. Spend as much as you want. Get something as cool as you want. Spend as little as you want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Whatever inspires you. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And just enjoy the thing and enjoy learning about it. Right? Like that's really the thing about it. That's what I feel like. I'm really passionate about that because I've seen it so many times over the years. Of course, you know, having thousands of comments to look at every month, and you're just like, why do people get so bent when somebody buys something nice? When they're like, well, you're not good enough to own it. Or the worst thing is if somebody new says, well, I'm not good enough to own X or Y guitar. Stop that crap right now. If you can afford it and you want it, you're good enough to own it. Skill has nothing to do with it. Okay? There's a lot of old men in white New Balances driving C8 Corvettes. Okay? They can't drive for crap. Let's see. I'm excited for the next generation of Fender road-worn guitars. I dig that. That's cool. I can see how a really badly made Floyd would be a nightmare. Yeah, so, okay. So here's the trick with those. Any double action tremolo. So this could be a Floyd. This could be any of the old Goto stuff. This could be even the Ibanez stuff. With the inexpensive stuff, the trick is this. take the string tension off before you adjust the string height. That's the main thing. And then make sure that your tools, I would buy the StewMac little toolkit, the little red one, link in the description. It's like $40 and it has all the stuff except for you need the intonation tool. So I think it's $20 for the intonation tool. It's $40 for the little StewMac kit. And then you have all the right tools with the wrenches that actually fit. Okay. So if the wrenches actually fit and you're not going around in your toolbox trying to find something that's close at accidentally stripping stuff out, number one. Number two is, especially on the inexpensive ones, take the string tension off before you adjust the string height, because it's got that little screw with the little, it's got the groove in it, and that blade goes into that screw. When there's tension on that blade and you twist that screw on the cheap ones, it'll goof that all up, and then that edge won't be sharp anymore, and it will not pivot correctly and return to pitch. That's the biggest thing with the cheap Floyds. So you just want to you don't want to damage a cheap Floyd, and they're easy to damage if you do that. Trick, release the tension, adjust the height, put the tension back on. You won't have a problem then. Wait, is Elon trying to grab rockets like a carnival claw? Yeah, haven't you seen it? It's super cool. The rocket comes back down. It's not like a carnival claw, like he's trying to like grab a stuffed toy. It's they come down vertically, like they're gonna land back on the thing, and then these fingers come out and like grab it and like hold it there, and it's standing up, and then like the engine's shut off. It like catches it. It's really wild, actually. It's like chopsticks and spaceships. Music is not a meritocracy. No, it's not. It's not. Buy what you can afford, and if you can afford something really cool, get something cool. Yeah, man. I think that's super key. My biggest thing is just don't let people tell you, and you kind of got to parse that a little bit. Like, you pull that apart a little bit and go, okay, but you do reviews, and when I ask you what pickups to buy, you tell me, and then I buy them. Yeah, but that's like the purpose of the question, right? It's the same thing as going to, I don't know. It's the same thing as asking about anything, any kind of consumer, anything, Hey man, I don't know enough about mattresses. Which mattress should I buy? Right? Like, and you'll ask me, a lot of times in the off topic thing, I want to spend $50 on a pocket knife. What pocket knife should I get? Well, I happen to know a bit about pocket knives, and I'll be able to tell you. But you don't have to do what I want, do what I say, and you don't have to listen to me. And you can take one opinion, and then you can go find a whole bunch of other ones, and then formulate your own. Formulating your own is probably the most important part, right? So don't just listen to me. The only thing I'll say is, if you're new to this, it's very easy, and there's probably many of you who can attest to this, who are not new. It's very easy to fall into the normal things that everybody says. New guitar players shouldn't buy a Floyd. New guitar players shouldn't buy PRSs because they're not good enough yet. New guitar players shouldn't blah, 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 right? Like, you hear the same things over and over and over again. So maybe when you're choosing your next guitar, first of all, recognize what all that stuff is and make your own decision outside of that. Yeah. The biggest thing is, does it have what you want? Does it give you, what does James May from Top Gear say? Does it give you the fizz, right? Like, does you just like, this thing is so cool, I really want this. If it doesn't do that, don't buy it. Yeah, it's good for the money, means you don't really want it. And if you had a little more patience, you wouldn't be saying it's good for the money, because you wouldn't own that guitar. You'd own the cool one. So, it's good for the money is just, yeah, In my opinion, new guitar players should get the guitar they really like. Yeah, man, and avoid stuff that is junk. Don't buy what everybody calls a beginner guitar. Buy the best guitar you can afford, especially for your first one. And don't ever sell it. So I would put those two things together, and here's what I would say. Buy the best guitar you can afford, even as a beginner. So if you just stumbled onto this video and you're like, I want to buy my first guitar, and you can afford a new Les Paul and it's $2,800 or whatever, and you're willing to invest that in yourself because you are investing it in yourself, go buy it. Because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super inspiring. You're going to love it, and you're going to have no excuses to not play it. It's going to be awesome. And B, my second part of this is never sell your first guitar. So you might as well make it one worth keeping. I think, and that, to me, that goes back to that these are things we should enjoy, right? This is not toilet paper. This is not paper towels. These are things we should really enjoy. Now, you might enjoy toilet paper. I'm not going to get into your personal life. I'm just saying you should really think about that, and don't buy the guitar as a commodity. Because I think so many people in their race to the bottom of this is cheaper than that one, and this one's just as good as that more expensive one when it really isn't, and blah, 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 blah. I think there's a race to the bottom that is just, it just is a whole mess of mediocrity that I'm just kind of bored with. So I look for stuff that's really actually inspiring. And if you can't afford that, then start looking critically at what you really want, and just buy the best guitar you can afford, or develop a little patience and get the one you really want. There's that. I got a Gibson /Anaconda. It's cool, and every time I see it, I want to pick it up. I have a Gibson. Is it right behind me? It's back there somewhere. I have November Burst, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I just recently got a 63 Gibson Custom Shop SG Junior. I love it. Do you know if the Gibson Custom Shop uses a different dog ear P90 than the Gibson USA? The stock pickup is incredible. It is different. I actually have. So that's so cool, dude. Because that's one of the baddest guitars ever made. It's the second baddest guitar ever made. I'm just going to say that. The 60, you got a 63. Okay. So that's got the thin pick guard. That's really cool. Okay. So the Custom Shop P90 is different than the normal American Gibson P90 because I have a Gibson SG Junior from like 2019. They were actually making like a production one for like $1,500, and I have one of those, and it's really good. And the pickup's pretty good. My pickup's better than the Gibson stock one. I have right there a 59 double cut special with the single dog ear P90, the Custom Shop one. And it's different, and it's better. I have not swapped it out. I have kept the Custom Shop one in that guitar because I want to kind of keep that one original. But it's good. It's really, really good. It's probably the only P90 guitar I've not swapped out for my stuff is that Custom Shop one. So if it's the same one you have, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Sometimes I'll do it just for the point of having it. But the reason for having my stuff in a guitar, but the reason I So one of the reasons I buy guitars these days, the reason I bought that one is because it's my favoriteest guitar ever. Because it's a TV yellow, it's the one, and I couldn't afford right now. I can't afford a real one because they're like 15 grand. So I couldn't justify that. So, but the reason I want it is it's for a reference. So we could go on making pickups for 10 more years. We've been making pickups for 12 years now. We could go on making pickups for 10 more years. And as materials change and as things change, I like to have like kind of the real thing around to be like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not getting too far off, So I have, I've got a Telly for that. I've got a Strat for that. I've got a Les Paul for that. I've got a Junior for that. I've got, various guitars around with various pickups in them, so I can kind of keep that reference for myself. And that P90 is one of them. So if you've got one of those, dude, it's sick. So sick. Yeah. New players are the group that needs quality guitars the most. I 100% agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. That is, yes. When you buy your first guitar, it's a milestone. And I agree, and I think you should treat it like one. Yeah. Absolutely. Just say no to one ply for sure. This coming from a guy who has a motorhome and you have to use that stuff in there. It's not fun. Yeah, man. Cool. Nah, this was fun. This was a really fun conversation to have. I hope that some of you just enjoyed talking about this stuff, and I hope that some of you got value out of it. Kind of just thinking about, if I avoid that, maybe, there's some probably some key stuff. Make sure that you really like your dealer that you buy stuff from, or pick a good online one. That's a key thing. And just don't go just buy a guitar to have a guitar. Like, buy something that really inspires you, whether it's because it's sparkly or because it sounds a certain way or looks a certain way or feels a certain way. If you're a new guitar player, don't get super wrapped up in specs. I have to have this fret size. Because there's no better or worse on this. Until you play for a while, you won't really understand fret sizes and neck profiles and stuff like that. Like, for the most part, there's guys that are like, I got to have 89 millimeters, 89 thousandths behind the first fret and 94 behind the 12th. And it's got to be, okay, maybe. But the little Korean kid on YouTube can play a neck this high, this wide with his little tiny hands, and he can shred better than any of us. So don't worry about that, especially if you're a beginner guitar player. Just play. Find something that really inspires you. And keep sharing your stories about this stuff in the comments, because I think it's really important for other people, etc. So yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out. This has been super fun. And we will see you in the next one.